Well guys, unfortunately I ripped my bumper off once again. This is my 1995 Mercedes S500 we call Dr. Dre, and a few videos back we went ahead and reinforced the bumper. Planned on giving you guys an update because it was working out really well, and it actually worked out so well that it caused more damage and completely ripped off this rubber-like material they use on the bumper. So I've got to figure out a way to reinforce it even more now, and I've got to be more careful because I park up on this lift. The car is pretty low because we went ahead and cut H&R springs up front with Bilstein shocks. I love the height of it, but because I have to park it here, I've got to go ahead and pull it up onto this wood here. And I must not have been up there all the way. Went to back it out the other day and barely snagged it, but it just pulled the entire thing completely off and unfortunately broke some of the reinforcement in here. So we've got to get this whole bumper off, fix it up. I've also got to go ahead and replace this fender because that's been damaged. So I did plan on taking this bumper off anyways. I do have a new fender sitting right here, or a used fender, but one that is in much better shape. So I'm going to replace it with that. And I'm going to give you guys another video because I've got to do some repair on this. I'm going to play around with some things. Hopefully, I come up with some really good solutions that maybe you guys can use at home as well. And I love hearing from you guys what you guys have done to fix this problem with your car. So let's get going. Let's get this bumper off and go ahead and reinforce it, swap out that fender, and get it back together. So guys, I went ahead and backed the car up so I'd be able to jack it up from this side and get to some of the remaining bolts. And as I was jacking it up, the front bumper just kind of fell off. So it is way worse than I thought. The entire reinforcement is broken off on both sides here. I thought maybe just something on this side was broken, but the entire bracing here is completely broken. So now I can kind of show you guys from the factory how terrible of a design this is and how it actually holds on. Normally, you would have this brace right here as a complete unit mounted into the inside of the bumper here with clips. I've shown this in videos in the past. And the reason why that is so bad, it's a plastic reinforcement. So anytime you heavily pull on this, let's say you get stuck on a curb backing up, that could easily break. And as you guys know, if any of you have this car, these corners pretty much break immediately. Any slight snag of your bumper is gonna break these reinforcements on the side. And what I'm talking about is these right here that you can see are broken. These normally slide over little brackets that they put on here. That's not the worst design in my mind because it really just holds it in place, but obviously the plastic or the reinforcement they used just wasn't strong enough for even a slight pull on that front bumper. I'm gonna come up with some ideas here. I'm definitely gonna make this a lot stronger. I think I'm gonna redesign and rebuild what is here. Maybe out of something metal, and figure out how we can mount it into the actual bumper here. Definitely going to use a stronger material, maybe some panel bond or something like that, so this thing doesn't rip off, because I'm not going to be needing to take this out anymore. I just want to have it work and hopefully last a lot longer than it has. So let's go ahead and get this bumper completely off. I'm going to go down to the store, come up with some ideas on how we can actually make this a lot better than it is from the factory. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the repair, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to say, what the hell did he just do? And I'm sure I'm going to get bashed in the comments. I am completely fine with that, because I want you to know that this bumper came off a parts car. It was already ruined, and then it got completely damaged, as you guys saw there. So I had to come up with some sort of solution, because I can't drive around without a bumper. And I did my best using stuff I already had and a very minimal cost. Really, it was just buying some construction grade adhesive and a couple bolts. So that was all I really went out and bought. Let's talk about how I did it. So I used a piece of scrap metal that I felt fit really, really nicely into there. I ended up adding the foam that I cut out back in there and put the adhesive up underneath that. It was a foam adhesive, so I kind of filled the whole area, clamped this down in here, and I'm guessing that probably would be totally enough to support this thing, but I did not want to take a risk. So I did one of the most controversial things probably on this video and drilled some holes up front here, put some bolts through there. But I'm going to be putting a Euro style license plate on here very soon, and I'm not worried about that because it's going to cover it completely up. I was more concerned with having extra support. There are already holes in here from a license plate being on here, so I knew I needed to put something on here to cover that anyways. This was a great solution. I felt like I can now put that foam piece back in here like so. Put a couple holes in the foam to go over those bolts there, and I'll have the full support that I need on this bumper. I've already placed it back in the car. I'm gonna tell you, it is very strong. It lines up perfectly. So I am very happy, because you'll never see the back of that. No one's gonna know what it looks like. Let's get this thing back on the car. I've got to get the fender off. Other main thing that I really wanted to figure out, obviously, is supporting the side pieces here. Now, I tried a few things out using L brackets, as you guys saw, but I ended up scratching all of them, did not feel comfortable with how they were securing, and I ended up going back to just a basic type of mount, and probably pretty controversial again. That is drilling right through the chrome trim piece here, because this is nice and thick. I did it in an area that you're not normally going to see, so up and under the bumper mount there. And then I drilled a corresponding hole up into the fender lip, and it secured nicely. I already tested it out. It seems to be very strong, so I'm going to roll with that. Would have been great if Mercedes had a much better mount for this area, like most cars do, where it's got some kind of bracket that comes up and mounts into the fender, easily accessible so you can take it on and off. Unfortunately, they didn't go that route. They use a nice plastic mount up in here that breaks and shatters if you hit anything. So this is my solution, guys. I know it's not perfect. You can use some of these if you want. You can use none of these. Let me know what you guys have come up with to fix your problem, because I want to see something really, really good out there that somebody came up with that I could possibly use in the future. My goal is not to use this bumper forever. I really want to go to like an AMG or walled style bumper, and I'm going to have some sort of bracket in there, either find a perfectly conditioned one or kind of create something, because I'm pretty sure that those bumper covers don't come with the inserts. You got to take the inserts out of the one that you have. So I'm probably going to end up having to run with what I built here on a new bumper. So with all that out of the way, let's get this back on the car. Let's get that damaged front fender off, and let's see how everything looks once it's in there. Well, guys, it's back and installed, and I've got to say it is very strong, and I am extremely satisfied with the outcome. But like I said from the beginning, this is not for everybody. If you have a really nice bumper, you probably don't want to go ahead and modify it unless something really bad happens to it, like in my situation. And I needed to have this thing back on there to be able to drive it, take it to shows, so I had to reinforce it. Now, like I said, these bolts up here are going to be completely covered by a Euro style plate that I'm going to be ordering, so I'm excited about that. I love the way those look on there. You will never see those bolts, and there is a little bit of warping that you guys can probably see right here. That has nothing to do with the bolts, even though I thought that's what it was originally. It had to do with when I clamped it and the glue dried, but I think if I add some heat to that, that'll actually press right back out. So no big deal there. The fender is back on. This is not a perfect fender. This is the one that I originally took off because there were some minor dents right there, but I'm gonna go ahead and pay somebody to probably make that perfect. It won't cost nearly as much as trying to fix the other bumper, because that one would have needed paint. So, and Dr. Dre is finally looking good and usable. That is the main thing here. And I can't wait to show you guys some of the next mods I got coming. They're already here, and I'm gonna start working on that video. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next one.